And the allegation keeps on piling up for Terence Crawford. Rick Glaser, well respected in the boxing industry, insinuating in his recent interview with Rapstar Boxing Knowledge that Bud Crawford and his affiliation with Victor Conte and SNAC is on PEDs, performing enhancing drugs. Take a listen for yourself.
And a lot of the fans are coming here saying, what about SNAC? What about SNAC? This is how they downplay Bud Crawford and Haney in that. Oh, he's with Victor Conte. Is that why Rick Glaser thinks he's going to win? I mean, you know.
No. What people don't understand what SNAC
is owned by Victor Conte.
Right. I know all about it. Okay, so let me explain to everybody.
The biggest scumbag in boxing, basically.
Let me explain something to everybody. Steroids in boxing are not illegal. Steroids in boxing are not illegal.
Steroids in boxing are not illegal.
PED, performance-enhancing drugs in boxing are not illegal. And what Victor Conte does is there's limits to everything you can put in your body, and he brings everything right up to that limit, whether it's testosterone, whether it's this, that. He brings everything right up to the limit.
Is it possible to circumvent? Yeah, it is. You know, but the same people that know how to circumvent, like myself, are the same ones that know how to catch it.
Should people be suspicious of me? Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's unfortunate, folks. It's unfortunate, folks, that we're leading to September 13th, Las Vegas, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium, one of the biggest events in the sport of boxing. One of the most lucrative, or probably the most lucrative fight of the sport of boxing this year. That if Terence Crawford does the incredible, the impossible, and beating Canelo Alvarez, the 4-division world champion and super middleweight undisputed, Terence Crawford would be earning a 3-division undisputed world champion. But with the body transformation and the allegations and the affiliations with SNAC, and you already know Victor Conte in his past, well, I gotta say this. Shout out to Victor Conte, and hopefully, you know, he beat cancer. Prayers go out to him. At the end of the day, it's still boxing. Regardless if people agree, disagree, whether he should be in boxing, whether he should not be in boxing. At the end of the day, he got a family. He's a human being. And, you know what I'm saying, prayers go out, beat cancer. But, sticking to boxing, if Terence Crawford, let's say, hurt Canelo Alvarez. As we all know, Canelo Alvarez truly never been hurt in the sport. Maybe when he was a teen, right? Very early on in his career. But truly never been stagger, hurt, never done the salsa, merengue, bachata, never did the stanky leg and stuff like that. Like Zab Judah did in one of his fights, like Devin Haney did with Jorge Linares. You know what I'm saying? Never did the stanky leg, never been out like Manny Pacquiao versus Marquez. Never got beaten up for pillar to post like Terence Crawford beat Earl the True Spence. Got an iron chin with one of the greatest chins in the history of the sport of boxing. And we see Terence Crawford hurt Canelo Alvarez. You know. And I know what people is going to insinuate. And that's the unfortunate part. Skills and talent in Terence Crawford is up there. Been up there for a long time. One of the greatest that ever laced them up of this generation. I just wish, you know what I'm saying, that people will do what people will do in the sport of boxing, what other sports have done. And not bring these personnels that has the history of distributing PEDs to fighters like Shane Mosley. Remember, Shane Mosley, one of the fighters that Victor Conte advised in the past. Imagine if he would have got in the ring and killed somebody in the ring. I think, look, there's people that's always saying, what about second chances? What about second chances? Second chance is not for you to do and to do harm in a place or in a job or to somebody, and then pay your dues or whatever, go get charged, go to prison, come back out and go back into the same place. You wouldn't say to a pedo that violated a child in an elementary school, a teacher, and then he get caught, he does his time, and then he comes right back. He comes right back out, and then goes back to an elementary school and become a teacher. You know, if you in the game, right? If you in the game, if you in the streets and stuff like that, and you're doing your selling drugs, right? And you get snitched out, gets snitched out. Your homeboy becomes an informant. And you do your time. Come right back out. It's hard for you to get a job. It forces you back into the game. Are you going to affiliate yourself with that snitch or that informant? Or are you going to give him a second chance? Are you going to give him a second chance? No, right? But that doesn't mean that you don't have a second chance to do something else in life. You could write a book. Victor Conte could write a book, could have done something else. But at the end of the day, is what he have said, what he have stated during interviews and stuff like that make people more suspicious than what they. Is already suspicious. He already said in a documentary that should people be suspicious of me? He said absolutely. So he understands. He understands the suspicions, the questions, and the fighters that align with him and is affiliated with him understands that. Everybody been asking questions since the first fighter that was with Victor Conte, from Nonito Donaire, Andre Berto, Andre Ward, Devin Haney, Kane Plant, Mikey Garcia. When Mikey Garcia was getting ready to fight Earl the True Spence, there was a lot of stories coming out. Like, you could even search it, Mikey Garcia and SNAC, and you're going to see a whole bunch of videos and a bunch of people doing, because he was transforming his body to the 147-pound, moving up to division and try to do the impossible and beat Earl the True Spence, who was a young, hungry lion at that time. And now we see, and now Terence Crawford never been really in the microscope like that, because people really in the sport of boxing like to turn the blind eye. But when we dial in on you, especially with the SNAC fighters, it's because Victor Conte has been vocally or been on social media and putting out test results. Like, he was very vocal in terms of the Devin Haney situation. Let's not forget that he did the TMZ interview. So he inserted himself in the drama. He could have stayed. He could have stayed behind the scenes like other personnels that are doing or have similar backgrounds, similar performance enhancing drugs affiliation and stuff like that. Like Remy, one of the track and field trainers that work with SNAC. He stayed behind the scenes, but he also was convicted and banned from track and field. But he works with the likes of Devin Haney and the other SNAC fighters and stuff like that. But Victor Conte likes to stay in the public eye. You know what I'm saying? So when he stays in the public eye, he brings attention to himself. And when he brings attention to himself, it brings attention to the fighters. So a lot of people wasn't dialing in on Terence Crawford because Victor Conte was not very vocal talking about Terence Crawford in the past. But now, when he's posting his negative tests and stuff like that, guess what? Now people dialing in on Victor Conte. Now people dialing in on the picture, the transformation. He looked all strong like that, going to 168 pounds, trying to do the impossible and beat Canelo Alvarez, moving 2 divisions up. Even though that he struggled in 154 versus Majumov, then people are going to insinuate and ask questions. And that's fair because of the background of Victor Conte. And I believe that Terence Crawford and all the snackers understand that. But Rick Glaser is, a lot of people consider him a credible source. When there's pay-per-view numbers that come out in this community, in the YTBC and social media or whatever, they rely on Rick Glaser's pay-per-view numbers. So now he's saying something that he's probably educated on, and he's saying that, that PEDs is that people using PEDs to the limit. They probably tippy-toe with that red line. At the end of the day, he's saying that he's in performance-enhancing drugs. That's what Rick Glaser said. Now, do you believe Rick Glaser? Because most of y'all people believe in Rick Glaser. Rick Glaser is well known in the business of boxing, very vocal, sometimes controversial, right? Try to expose a lot of people. Maybe he's trying to indirectly expose Victor Conte and Bud Crawford. You know what I'm saying? And he's saying that, and he continues saying in the interview that a lot of people is using PEDs, almost echoing what Jamal Charlo said leading up to his last fight, when he was explaining that people tippy-toe on that red line. They go and use performance-enhancing drugs to the limit. The thing with Victor Conte is that he said that he could circumvent test. So at the end of the day, when he's showing up, when he posted a negative test, is irrelevant, because if you already went public saying that you could circumvent tests and you keep on saying that you could pass the test, and we already know the affiliation that you have with VADA, it's just too much. It's a conflict of interest. And if you don't believe that it's a conflict of interest, then you're turning a blind eye. then you're actually being naive in the situation of it. The best thing, in my opinion, was that this I'm gonna say it like this. The best thing is for fighters not to affiliate yourself with somebody with a past like that, with a reputation. You know what I'm saying? Because people are going to assume and going to tamper with your legacy or potential great victory. Like Terence Crawford could have a potential one of the greatest wins of the history of the sport of boxing. Top 10 if he beats Canelo Alvarez is going to be tampered with that. So even showing the test is irrelevant. Or transparency. That transparency is irrelevant because he know how to circumvent a test. So, that's the best thing. Or if everybody joins SNAC, maybe that's what Victor Conte wants anyway. So if most of the elite fighters, you know what I'm saying, are with SNAC or with somebody, then everybody join them. Maybe that will level the playing field. Nobody have suspicious for nothing. Let me know what y'all think. This is Punch Run Boxing, aka Mr. Moonshine himself. I'm just reporting the news. I'm just reporting the news.